I am from Baltimore, Maryland. I went to Mergenthaler Vocational Technical High School, which is called MERVO. It was the first technical high school in America. And I didn't know what I wanted to be when I grew up. Senior year, when I was 18, me and my girlfriend started thinking about, okay, what are we gonna do? We bounced around from nursing. I was in the business vocational technical portion, and I thought about doing, business administration in college. I thought about doing community college first because it was cheaper, and then transferring over to a university. I just did not know what I wanted to be when I grew up. I worked 2 jobs. I never worked out a day of my life. I never played sports. My dad raised me as a single father in Baltimore City. And honestly, when I wanted to grow up, I wanted to be a ballerina. I liked tap dance and ballet all my life. Everything on a Christmas tree or all my stuff when I'm little, you see, Amanda's name on its ballerina stuff. So the only thing with that was I was not good at it. I had no ballerina skills to save my life. So when me and my friends started thinking about what we were going to do, we came up with this plan because we worked. We were 18 years old. We thought life was so easy and adulting was no problem. And because we make the money we do and don't pay rent or anything, that it would be too easy to travel the world. Take a year off, figure out what I'm going to do, just enjoy not being in high school. And high school is probably the easiest thing you'll ever do. So I came home and told my dad, and I was like, Dad, guess what I'm gonna do? I'm just gonna take a year off and I'll figure it out. I'll work at my aunt's restaurant. And he, with not so kind words, was like, absolutely not. You're going to go to the military or you're gonna go to college, but you're getting out of the house and you're starting your life. Okay, Dad. Cool. So I went to my guidance counselor. I applied for college, Village Julie actually, and I got accepted. I did the open house and I started freaking out. I was nervous. I did not know what I wanted to do. I was not that great of a student in school. I was a social butterfly where I slept through class. I actually had to make Mr. Wynn, my French teacher, had to make a deal to show up on time for the next 3 weeks and pass the exam. I didn't take high school seriously. So I was scared of college because you have to pay for it and they don't just pass you. I didn't know what I wanted to be, so I was gonna look for the Navy. My grandfather was in the Navy. I liked the water. I just was like, Navy jumped into my head. So in my high school career fair, there was an Army female recruiter, and I walked up to her and asked where the Navy was. And obviously she started talking about the Army. She talked to me about the Army Reserve to go to school and pay for school, stay home, but I wanted to get out and travel. If I was going to do it, I wanted to do the full-time career. So I actually started enlisting and took ASVAB, and I enlisted high school year as on-May logistics specialist. To me, it's the best job in the Army, but we have over 150, so there's so many different ones I didn't know about. I had a lot of people that stood in the way or did not support what I did or my enlistment. It was 2005, so we were rapidly deploying, and I had my grandma who didn't. My mom, she did not support it. She offered to pay for my education. She didn't agree with me going and serving, and I had to look back and realize this is something I want to do. Fortunately, I had the Weber family that supported me a lot, my grandfather, my dad, and I stuck by my decision. It was the best thing I ever did, and I'm glad my dad pushed me towards that direction. I ended up graduating high school, July 2005, and I went to basic training. I think my family had bets on me that I would not pass because I like to sleep in. It was a struggle. I asked my drill sergeant when we were going to go camping. I didn't get the grenade throwing part right the first time, but 10 weeks later was the proudest moment of my entire life. To have my father, who was so hard and expected so much from me, show up to my basic training graduation. I was standing in uniform at 18 years old, and for him to be crying because he was so proud was there's nothing that could ever top that. It is the most proudest moment of my life. My dad actually, just to let you know something, my dad played a trick on me. I'm very close with my Weber family, and I called home. You know, he never wrote me a day of my life in basic training, and I called home and asked him if they're coming to training, to family day and graduation 10 weeks later, and he said that he had to work, and he said my grandparents couldn't make it because they had to, they couldn't drive that far, which was 3 hours, and my aunt had to run the restaurant. So I just felt heartbroken, but it's okay. Well, you know, it is what it is. I have all my battle buddies. A few minutes later, actually, after I made that phone call, I saw a car pulling up to the parking lot, and it was my whole family. I mean, my aunt's dog, her, my brother, my grandfather, my grandmother, best friend, people that worked at my aunt's restaurant, but my dad was leading them, and he was that, you know, that dad where he's real like serious and masculine, and he's trying not to cry, but you know, it's like trying to slow his roll with walking, but he's so proud. And so yeah, that was the proudest moment of my life, and will always be the proudest moment of my life. They sent me to Honduras. So I was stationed in Honduras. I got to see the humanitarian aid portion. I volunteered with the orphanages. We had a local orphanage. It was an all-boy orphanage, but the girls would come from the neighborhood. We would wash their hair, build them beds, cook meals, teach them sports. It was a blast. We did a chapel hike where we would raise all this money for personal hygiene items and food, and we'd hike it up to a local village that didn't even have running water. It was amazing. Central America for a year was amazing. So I got selected while I was in Colorado, not even a year later, for the Army recruiting course, and I put in for Florida. I could see myself wearing an Army bathing suit and playing volleyball on the beach, and I just love Florida. But I got selected for New England. Maine is just like right there, like boom. You know, I'm out here in the snow, you know, but it's been great. I've been out in Maine for 3 years. I've never been to New England before I got stationed here. So I learned to ski in Vermont. I've been skydiving. I mean, Maine's been good to me. New England has been good to me. So I've been an Army recruiter for 3 years in Saco, and I just talk to men and women about, you know, the opportunities, my Army story, and just inspiring them and informing them of what we have to offer in the Army. A lot of people just don't know that we even have a duty location in Honduras, okay? Because I didn't know that either. So that is my story.